All right, hey, it's Friday, July 10th, your weekly Lake of the Ozarks fishing report. Hot one this week. That's the name of the game this week. And next week's going to be even hotter. Um, Lake conditions remain real good. Watercolors pretty much perfect throughout the lake. I was all over this week, way up the Osage, in the Nangwas a little bit. Mid lake, down by the dam a lot, and even up in the Gravois too. The last couple of days, and the watercolor is pretty much the same everywhere. Slightly clear, down by the dam, maybe that stretch around the toll bridge up to the dam. A little bit clearer up in the Gravois, maybe slightly clear, but I'd say pretty much for the most part, we're gonna call it clear. They've dropped the water just a little bit, about 6 inches, I think, since last week. So it's like 658.8 today. Current's been pretty much non-existent. Like today, yesterday, pretty much for the last few days, like 1,500 cubic foot, per second. Where 3 weeks ago we were running 25 to 35,000. So that really changes a lot as far as what these fish are doing. And this week, the fishing was, Monday was probably the best day. It was really good day. Caught a lot of fish, some good solid fish. Tuesday was so-so. Wednesday was, and it kind of went down. Thursday was pretty poor. And then today it kind of picked back up. Today was a little better. It's just summertime fishing. No current, so these fish are really starting to just spread out. They're not real predictable. One day you'll catch some on some points, maybe on some bluffs, starting to get into coves, around some brush piles, 10 to 15 foot, probably inside coves, just inside main lake or even back in creeks, just any kind of brush pile, 15 foot or so. Man, to say, this week, man, we caught fish everything. When we was up in the river, we actually went towards the back about 3 hours into a trip and started flipping shallow. And we actually caught couple decent fish, and when I say shallow, I'm talking 2-3 foot of water, and we get back in there and there was some big shad swimming around. So whenever them big shad are in the backs, you can count on some big fish being back there, or at least some keepers, But today I was out and I was spooning and I caught one of them giant shad, snagged one out there over 50 foot of water on Main Lake. So the shad are all over the place and the bass are all over the place chasing them. So you can catch them anywhere. So whatever you want to do, you can go do it. I guess the best bite, man, probably still shaky head. Just a little shaky head. I'm still throwing a 1/4 ounce. Shaky Pro crack gator with just a little zoom, green pumpkin, mag finesse. If you're getting a little deeper, you want to go to that 5/16 so you can feel the bottom. And you're just kind of dragging it, feeling them rocks and popping it over the rocks. Kind of mainly bluffs is kind of what I've been targeting for that. And when the water's calm, you can do that. And that's good, man, from 5:30 to about 9. And then that pretty much goes away. And I've kind of seen that with everything. The bite's real good from daylight to 9, maybe 10 o'clock. And then it pretty much quits. At least it has for us. You can catch some fish schooling. If you're out and you see them busting, you can throw some top water at them and catch a lot of fish doing that. Most are smaller fish, but you will catch some keepers in with those. And, with that, we're just throwing maybe a spook junior, a chug bug, or even a fluke. Just a pearl fluke has been working for those. Another bait this week that I've been really playing with more is a spoon. And I've been catching a lot of fish on spoon. Last week we were talking about catching some crappie on it. But this week I even kind of targeted some bass. Looking at them with the Garmin Live Scope. Because they're just kind of suspended out in nowhere land underneath some of these big docks. If a dock's got a big cruiser in it and it's got a bunch of dark shade, you can flip these spoons. This one here is a War Eagle, 7/8 ounce, just the chrome color. Dixie Jet makes another really good one. Um, and this one is like 2.5 inches long, I believe. And another one War Eagle makes, and this is their 1/2 ounce. This is just a little 1.5 inch little spoon, just a treble hook on it. And man, you can catch some giant crappie on these right now. Probably right now, as far as crappie, I'd say the spoon's the best. This spoon, you can really flip it way back in them boat slips, way back in that dark stuff. You scan over with your live scope, you see a bunch of crappie, you flip over there, and you watch your spoon flutter down in there, and you just kind of rip it up, and you'll see the fish come up and chase it. You can watch and see if they're aggressive enough, if you're going to catch them. If they don't bother it, you're not going to catch them. You can move pretty quick, looking for crappie. But like I was saying, I've caught several nice keeper bass. Caught a 4-pounder Monday on the spoon, flipping alongside the dock, around some shad, big shad balls out over, I don't know, probably sitting in 50 foot of water over a big dock. And you see them shad down there 15, 18 foot. And throw that spoon through and rip up through there. And I've been catching quite a few bass like that. I'm really kind of digging the spoon here lately. I know it's a big table rock deal, but and that's kind of where I learned it and talked with a lot of guys about it and what they target and how they throw it. And it's working up here at the Ozarks too. One thing I will mention is I did notice yesterday quite a bit, about 18, 20 foot, there's a definite thermocline developing. And a lot of fish are right at that thermocline, just below it. The crappie, the bass, the largemouth Kentuckys. I'm assuming catfish, pretty much all the fish, they're going to be in that comfort zone. And that's going to be right at that thermocline, which, like I said, it's developing now. Boy, it's really developed quick. When they shut that current down, and as hot as it's been, it don't take long. So, thermocline's around 18, 20 foot. Water temp, it's in the upper 80s, 88, I think was today. So it's really warming up. Another bait, obviously this one will be real good for the next several weeks, month. It's just a big wheezy jig, just 5/8 ounce wheezy jig. And I like that rage tail that Strike King makes. Has a lot of action, fits on there real good. And all I'm doing is trying to target ledgy rocks, whether it be in creeks, coves, main lake, bluffs, and throw it up on that first shelf and just drag it till it falls. You feel it fall. It goes to that next shelf, you pull it out, it falls down, hits the next one. And it won't take long. You'll get a bite or two, and you'll know what shelf they're on, what depth they're on. Probably heard me talk before. Really pay attention to the bank and what that bank's doing above the water line. If you got a sheer bluff or if it's kind of a gradual slope, that's what it's doing below that water line. But if it's dropping, you can look up and you can see a bluff and it drops 15 foot and then it comes out 5 foot and it drops again and it comes out. Well, you've got the same thing at that water. That's really what you want to look for, are those shelves, those different stages of shelves along the bluffs. If it's just a sheer bluff and it drops for down to 40 foot, there not going to be anything along there. May random catch something, but as far as fish coming up and feeding, they're going to be more in them shelves. So just throw that wheezy jig up there, let it sink to the bottom, and just drag that thing. Bounce over them rocks. You try to find boulders or maybe a little old brush down there, some trees, and you just work that thing through there, and you'll get some bites doing that. A little square bill. It's still a little slow, but it's coming. Just a Strike King 2.5 or 1.5. I just like this orange with the brown back. That's coming within the next few weeks. Now that they've shut that water down, we'll have a bluegill spawn, and them shads start going to the backs for whatever reason. I really think there's a little more oxygen in the very backs around some of these green plants. If we get a little rain or some of them creeks are still flowing in, it don't take much. And, that oxygen level, the pH, everything's right in the backs. And if you get back there and there's big shad, you can start flipping a jig like a 1/2 ounce zapper with a pecker chunk or maybe our muskrat on it. Flip your shaky head in there. Swim that little crankbait along there. Early in the mornings, run you a spook along them shallow docks. Head knocker buzz bait. You know, that first couple hours, the bass they'll get way back in the shallow, 2 foot of water, chasing them bluegill around, chasing them shad back in there. You know, and then once that sun gets up, they're going to tuck way underneath them docks. You'll have to flip way back in there. But man, if you're coming down, you know, it's hot. It's going to be hot. Get out early, you know, and plan about 10 o'clock to go do something else. It gets hot out there. Gets a little rough. And I really haven't been doing a whole lot good after 10 o'clock. Now, you know, Wednesday nighters, you know, at right around dark, like they start around 6:30 or so, and they're catching some bass. Not everybody, but there's a few of them catching them. I talked to Jack Uxa, I guess it was yesterday, and he said his afternoon bite's pretty good. A little hot out there for me. You know, I'm not really interested in being out there, but he said they've been turning on pretty good for him in the afternoons a little bit. So, and I'm assuming he's saying, you know, maybe 5 o'clock to dark, something like that. So, you know, that midday, it's hot, it's rough. You know, just go do something else. Hang out in the water, relax, whatever. But, man, other than that, lake's in great shape. It's busy down here. Everybody's in pretty much a good mood, having fun, enjoying life. So, you know, if you get a chance, come on down and join us. We'll talk to you next week.